DistroKid has been the industry standard for getting your newly created music out to the streaming platforms, and now the DistroKid app is now available on iOS and Android. Yeah, check that out. The app is now available on your phone. Go to the app or Play Store and download it. There's so many features inside this app. You can do things like sign up and pay for a new DistroKid account. You can upload your new releases there. You can see your DistroKid bank and withdraw your earnings. You even get notified when you've earned royalties and withdraw from the app via push notifications. You can see hyperfollow links. You can edit your account details. You can see your streaming stats from Spotify and Apple. You can even edit and add lyrics to your songs there. So like I said, go over to the App Store on iOS or Android and download the DistroKid app now. Also, they have this new feature called Mixia. I know a lot of artists struggle to be prolific and make their music sound as good as the music they hear from their influences and their peers. That's where Mixia comes in. Nothing's ever going to replace the artistry and expertise of a real human mastering engineer. But for artists who are short on time or resources, Mixia is a powerful tool to help make the music sound great in a hurry. Simple interface, empowering the most novice of music creators. It's got unlimited song previews of mastered songs with one free download, and for $99 you get unlimited mastered tracks. So go check out Mixia and make sure to go to the App Store and download the DistroKid app so that you can get your music out there and get it heard. You're doing your thing and they're helping you do it. DistroKid.
No Simple Road. Yeah, here we go.
I know the road that may seem to go on forever and a lifetime.
And here we are. Ta-da. Ta-da. We're magic.
Ta-da.
Ba-ba-ba-ba. Hey now, No Simple Road family. It's Aaron.
It's Mel.
And it is Apple over here.
We have landed back in the studio today. Here we are, chilling. Before we get into who the guest is this week and the business and all the stuff,
Get out my business.
I want to say rest in peace to Ozzy.
Oh,
Yes.
Ozzy.
Ozzy, I think it was everybody's seen. I've never seen like so many people from every demographic, every walk of life, like celebrating Ozzy. He influenced the world.
And if you think about like
Yep.
when we were in our teens and we were in the midst of the satanic panic in this country, he was so villainized and vilified and just Black Sabbath, and it was so evil and bad. And now, you know, it was almost like
They're doing
it was sweet.
Black Sabbath
Yeah.
with like xylophones.
Yeah.
The kids were. Did you
that
see
was
that?
amazing.
I looked up Planet Caravan to put the music in a post, and it's Twinkle Twinkle Little Star doing Black Sabbath. It's
Aw,
like bedtime music for babies.
cute.
Yeah. So how the
It's
turns
come
have
full.
tabled.
I remember a few months ago being in the grocery store and Crazy Train was playing
In the grocery store?
Yes.
Yeah, you're old. I'm old.
I was like, holy shit, that's
We're
like
old.
classic rock. I remember too that was one of my first rock concerts that I got to go to. I was 13. My mom and dad let me go with a friend of mine that lived up the street because his older sister was taking us. We went to San Diego to go see Ozzy Osbourne. I forget who opened for him, but it was the Diary of a Madman tour.
Oh my God.
And
old.
I came back and I repped that Diary of a Madman jersey until it wore out all through
That's dope.
like middle school into junior high.
I think one of the first times I ever saw you, you were wearing an Ozzy t-shirt,
Merch is gonna go crazy.
black sleeves, white shirt with the sleeves cut off, and you had it like a half shirt.
Yeah, that was a Diary of a Madman shirt. That I wore that until it was paper thin and it was like it's done. You can't even
Shirts
see
don't
anything
wear
on
like
it.
that anymore.
No.
They don't get like cool
Neither
kind
do
of thin.
people.
Ooh, they don't.
Nope.
This is true. It's
Yeah,
a different
man.
world.
And also, rest in peace going out to Chuck Mangione
The greatest flugelhorn player ever.
and Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, brother.
Yeah, Hulk
Man.
Hogan.
Been a week.
That's so sad.
Well,
That's really sad to me. I loved Hulk Hogan. Like, that's a huge part of my childhood. And also, shout out to Malcolm Jamal Warner. That's fucking sad
yeah,
too.
that too. Rest in
Yeah.
peace.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Theo passed away, man.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Like
so
at the
sad.
beach.
Yeah, at Costa Rica.
Wow.
Yeah, so sad.
crap.
So yeah, all those folks.
all our my childhood anyway, like growing up,
Yeah.
all of those are huge, like icons in that time. Theo was like the heartthrob of the time.
Really?
Yeah, he like the way he dressed, and he was like so cute on Teen Beat magazine and all that, like that. And I just remember Denise.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah, it was a great show, and
Yeah. And now,
R.I.P. That's great. That's cool, babe.
yeah. Well, I mean, Ozzy was a huge influence on me,
Mm-hmm.
and like I said in the post I made on Instagram, that was like, I can remember some of the first music I ever listened to that like showed me that music could be more than music. Like I felt it, and it took me somewhere. Black Sabbath was the shit, and
Yeah.
Ozzy was the shit. So
Yeah. Well, and the first thing I thought too is he's like, oh, he's with Randy Rhoads now.
yep, the great gig in the sky just got a whole lot cooler.
Yeah.
I want to read this thing that India Irie posted on her Instagram, because
Okay.
it's not just her. Let's see.
It's not just her. What?
What I was gonna say is her post. It wasn't hers. It was like Pythagoras,
Okay.
and I can't find it now. It's not under hers. I'm trying to think.
Okay.
It was India. Anyway, but it was the thought was music is not merely there to entertain, but to bring us to our divine, like to bring us to that.
1,000% agree.
And that, like you were just talking about with Ozzy, taking you to another place that is bigger than yourself. You're just listening to music, and then all of a sudden, now it's not
You've been
just that.
transported.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I just thought that was a really cool.
Well, I mean, that's a good segue into our guest this week.
our musical guest.
Yeah, this gentleman is a virtuoso, a teacher, and
A really positive human being.
a really cool interview.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joe
really-
K. Walsh. You got to put the K in there, everybody.
Joe K. Walsh.
If you don't put the K, you're going to end up somewhere else.
And
All right?
I love it. As soon as we start this, he addresses that.
Yeah. And before we got on, I was like, Apple, don't make any Joe Walsh jokes. And then he immediately did it for us.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Get it out of the way.
Yeah. This is one of those conversations that when it was over, we both texted each other and like, hey, that was really cool.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I'm so stoked for all of you that don't know Joe K. Walsh to be introduced to him and hear his mind and his thoughts on music and all kinds of other stuff, man.
Yeah.
And I want to say thank you to John Mylander for sending us some
Yeah,
really
thanks, John.
awesome interviews and some, great musicians that you've worked with. Thanks so much.
Appreciate it. Apple, take us there.
Oh, well, I was just going to say that some information on Joe. If you want to go check out what he's up to, you can go to joekwalsh.com.
Put in the K.
Yeah, and you can see he is no slouch. He has several musical projects going on. He is heading out on tour. There's got a bunch of dates coming up all over Colorado, Wyoming, Vermont, Utah, on and on. So you can go check all that out. Also on here, it says he is hailed as a wonderful mandolin player by David Grisman.
Yep. Well,
Yeah.
no higher praise than dog.
Yeah. And he's going to be out doing some stuff with Sam Grisman. And then you can go over to Instagram. It's Joe_K_Walsh to see what he's up to there.
And also make sure you go check out the new album. It came out on April 4th of this year. It's called Trust and Love. And it is definitely something that you want to like put on your headphones and be transported. This is a perfect example of what we were just talking about. So I'm so stoked for all of you to hear this. We're going to do the business real quick and then get on the road. Follow No Simple Road at No Simple Road on the media platforms socially. Go to our website, do website stuff. Bet you can't guess what the web address is. NoSimpleRoad.com.
.com.
That makes sense.
Totally. You can get merch there. You can get a tarot reading, all kinds of fun stuff. Go
You
there.
can make sense. You can deposit cents into our patreon.com
yeah.
/ No Simple Road or NSR or No Simple Road.
No Simple Road. Patreon.com / No Simple Road is how you can help support us.
Makes sense.
We have one sponsor. Speaking of sponsors, go check out
Shop Tour Bus.
Right, go check out Shop Tour Bus for the dopest Grateful Dead inspired merch on the planet.
On the
this
world
This isn't heady bootleg stuff. This is like the coolest pictograms of Grateful Dead song titles you've ever seen in your life. So
Yeah, these are heady still.
Well, okay,
I would say that's heady.
And
This
it
isn't
is.
like lot teas though.
No,
This is like
fine dining.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That was my point.
I like, fine dining, and there's a whole lot of intention behind all this. They put it in a custom-made box, send it out to you with all kinds of goodies and knickknacks, and you might even get a miracle bootleg.
You also will get with the promo code No Simple Road shipping for free.
That's right. So go check out shoptourbus.com or at shoptourbus on Instagram. Also, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts.
Dang, what do we got to do?
It's been 4 months.
Check it out. Almost 8 years into this game. Oh, actually, we passed the 8-year mark, didn't we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like January 17th.
8 years into this
or
game,
July
I am
17th.
still learning new shit about podcasting. I learned all about metadata today. Do you guys want me to tell you about it? Because it's really dry and boring. Ready?
No.
No. So anyway,
Okay, we forward.
that stuff matters. And when you guys leave us reviews on Apple Podcasts, it helps us get recognized
That
and
matters.
pushed out to other folks that would dig the show.
Yeah.
And that would never know about us otherwise, because
Yeah.
if you don't put enough reviews, it's not going to spread.
That's right.
It's true. And
Also, most important thing you can do is tell somebody that you think needs to listen to No Simple Road about the show.
Yeah. And well, then also we ask that we have our open mic at the Tepid line at 971-808-1524. And that's where we ask you to leave trip reports, review, whatever you want to do. It's open mic. And as we've said before, we know everybody's going to shows. Let us know what's going on.
Who's Mike? Who's Mike?
I don't know.
You said it's open mic.
Well, it's not closed mic.
Okay.
He's very
Makes
open.
sense.
He's friendly. Yeah.
We hired him.
He's
He sits
there.
over there and
He's
answers
just
the phone.
listening.
Okay. Anyway, that's the whole thing, man. When you tell somebody about the show, that word of mouth thing is how we spread the mycelial network that is the No Simple Road family. And really, that's the most important thing is us all being together and doing the thing and listening to cool shit and making cool shit and talking about cool shit. And
I don't like that
doing
much
cool
shit
cool
all
stuff.
over the place.
Stuff. Don't put shit all over
Yeah,
the place.
no,
It's cool
thank you.
stuff.
Yeah.
Things.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Things.
Yeah. We're not doing all that shit pooping.
That was a
stuff.
lot of shit. That was a
I don't
pile
want
of
that.
shit.
I don't want
Wow.
that. I'm not letting
Well,
that happen.
This goes in the category of cool stuff.
All right. That's fine with me.
You like that?
Yep.
All right. So without further ado, the No Simple Road crew gives you
Joe K. Walsh. whatever.
Yeah. Well, you guys are persistent. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we don't give up, man.
Yeah.
I'm Aaron. Joe, good to meet you finally.
Nice to meet you.
And I'm Mel. Joe, thanks for coming on today.
And then you must be Apple.
Yep.
That's the man.
You got it. I'm Apple.
Joe,
Good to meet you.
for the folks that are listening, why don't you introduce yourself to them?
Sure. Hello, it's Joe K. Walsh. There's a K that's necessary if you're aware of the Eagles and a fan of the Star World. Yeah, so I live up in Portland, Maine, and I play the mandolin and all the mandolin family stuff. And I've been sort of making the bluegrass circuit for about 2 decades now with various locally and inspiring humans.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I like that too. We're representing both Portlands, West Coast and East Coast. We're in Portland, Oregon.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Great.
Yeah, I told Apple right when we were coming on, I was like, Apple, no Eagles jokes. Immediately got in there.
Well, I've heard them all.
Yeah.
Well, Joe, man, it's really cool to meet you, and looking at what you do, it's really interesting, brother.
Well,
Yeah,
appreciate that.
listening to the album that you did most recently, we were like walking down into our studio and Apple had it on his phone, and I was like, this is a trip, man. It kind of reminds me of a cross between like bluegrass and classical in a weird kind of a way. Is that a fair description?
I think that's fair. Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm like one of many musicians that take the inspiration from many directions. And of course, bluegrass is a big thing in my life, but I do practice a lot of classical music, and I wasn't actually actively trying to, incorporate it, but you never know where things are going to pop up. And the idea that I have control over whether what's it seeping in as an influence is, I think that would be a fallacy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what comes out when you're creating, whether you're a visual artist or a musician or anything, is a culmination of your experience and things that have gone into you. So you really, like you said, there's no control over that.
Right. And I think like when you think about, there's an inclination in the bluegrass world to say this is bluegrass and this other stuff isn't. And I think that was probably more doable in another time.
Yeah.
But having grown up in northern Minnesota, but I'm saying specifically for me, but I think every individual bluegrass musician grew up somewhere further from the source, listened to lots of pop music, listened to lots of whatever. Mm-hmm. It makes total sense to me, this expansive thing that's happening in bluegrass right now, that's sort of, pulverizing all borders and finding ways to connect to many different styles of music, whether it's the fish thing or the going in a pop direction, all kinds of, just spreading out and making room for that sound everywhere.
Yeah. And, reading your bio, like, it said that, when you were a kid, the thing that turned you on to bluegrass was dog.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
And I'm always curious, like, as kids, at least when I was growing up, like, rock stars were the thing. I heard bluegrass as a kid and it didn't turn me on. It was later. So what was it that, like?
No, that's the same thing for me. I mean, honestly, I heard a bluegrass band and I was like, this is not for me.
Right.
And then somebody played me Shady Grove, the Garcia Grisman record.
So good.
And then that led to their self-titled record, and that led to Old and in the Way. And then, it's kind of a slippery slope. The one that really made me buy an instrument was the DGQ record with Daryl and Todd Phillips and Tony Rice.
So at that point, like, were you hell-bent on becoming a bluegrass musician, or was it just to learn the instrument?
I don't think I think I was just here's a cool sound. What can we do?
Right.
And 4 or 5 years later, and dropping out of college a couple of times on account of playing too much music, it was like, okay, you realize I'm really dedicating a lot of time to this, more than I had even done purposefully, and that was when I started to try and make a go of it.
Hmm. And did you ever finish school?
I ended up going to Berklee, which was a place that coincided with my sense of, what I wanted to do and
your sensibilities.
My values.
And now you teach there?
I do, yeah. I've been there for about 10 or 12, 13 years.
I'm always fascinated by that.
Yeah, and I'm curious as far as teaching. Do you teach mostly bluegrass or musical theory? Like, what do you teach there?
Yeah, I have a bunch of mandolin students, and then a lot of times I end up working with fiddle students or sometimes a banjo student, and then I have ensembles. Usually I have they're sort of bluegrass adjacent ensembles, so like maybe like a Bela ensemble or a Grisman ensemble, or depends on what the kids are excited about. This last semester there was a Tony Rice unit ensemble, so it was sort of like that collection of Tony Rice tunes that were really trying to like fold in these other sounds and doing it in a really developed way, really amazing way.
Well, I think, like you were just saying too, like with all the influences of pop and everything, you're getting to see these up and comers with like the influences that like we didn't have being older.
Yeah, those kids from Mountain Grass
amazing.
Unit just graduated, right?
I was just going to ask if you knew them. That's actually who the ensemble was. It was basically the Mountain Grass unit.
Yeah, I mean those guys are wildly talented.
Absolutely, totally amazing.
It's so I don't know how to properly ask this. With the kind of boom that's going on with the bluegrass world right now, I mean, Billy Strings is filling arenas with bluegrass music, which is kind of unheard of. Are you seeing, as a teacher, a renewed kind of resurgence in students coming through that are into it?
I think that's true. Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, I always thought, like, when I think of when I was coming up as a mandolin player who really wanted to be a serious musician, I didn't think there was a deep bench of people my age that I could look to and say, like, there's 40 other people, you know. Right. And maybe they were there, maybe it's just the internet and I didn't know about them. But now it's like there's 10 world-class mandolin players in Boston right now. It's bonkers. Like the level of talent is just so deep. And I think it's true for all these instruments. And I do think there is more of a just widespread dedication to, I guess you're talking about the audience, but I think I'm hearing it. My mind went to, like, there's so many fantastic young musicians. It blows my mind.
Right. Yeah. And they have
and they're like awesome, like right away.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We talked to this young lady yesterday. Her name is Bella Rain. She's 18 years old. She's self-taught guitar player and like picked up the guitar during COVID because she was bored. And this girl is shredding, like Grateful, wow. Like up playing with Melvin Seals.
Oh, wow.
And, yeah. And it's like, I've been, like I said to her yesterday, I've been playing guitar since I was 12. I would never hope to even deign to stand on the same stage as Melvin's. You know what I mean? And
well, it was Sam Grisman and Almond Betts band. Yeah. Like she's playing with all these big players and not like wow. just holding her own. But
so as an educator, you're seeing this, right? You're seeing these younger folks coming through that are rapidly progressing, right?
Oh, absolutely. And there's like every generation, there's like a you can presume such a deeper level of technique and just what they're able to do as a given is just escalating every generation.
So what do you
I mean, because
what do you attribute it to?
Well, there's all these kids that are at home transcribing Sierra Hull and Thiele and Jolliffe. And so then I think you can sort of assume, okay, that's the bar and that's what I need to work towards. And if you have Sierra Hull as a bar, and if you take it seriously, you're gonna be crazy good.
That's insane. It's crazy to think that. I mean, everybody shits on the internet and the proliferation of information, and you know what I mean. Right. But I think that is one of the positives that can be taken away from that is that we have access to learn so much more from a huge pool of talented people. And it's like you just said, it's raising the bar higher and higher.
Absolutely. And I think it's true for lots of folks. I mean, I think the mandolin world is a very supportive world, but let's take Sierra for a second. She's really amazing about reaching out to young people on Instagram and affirming them. And that's such a huge thing. It's such an awesome thing to see her giving a shout out to people who are working on things. And, they're on the path and they may they may not be as good as her now, but she's really making them feel like they're doing it, and it's really amazing. And that's another thing that wouldn't happen without the internet.
Joe, did you feel like you had anybody like that was kind of like on your team, wishing you to kind of, giving you that pat on the back that was, moving you forward?
Absolutely. I grew up in northern Minnesota, and the huge name in Minnesota for mandolin and in the folk music world was Peter Ostrushko, and I think he traveled less than some folks, so he isn't at this point is less known in the wider world. But he was just a tremendous musician, and I remember going to take a lesson with him, and I asked the stupidest questions. Looking back 3 decades later or whatever it is now, I'm just so appalled by my stupidity, but he never made me feel that way. It's like if a student had asked me some of the questions that I'm at now, I don't know if I could have been quite as graceful as he was.
I think
there's a lot more, I think, that people are coming to the bar with initially because of the internet. You know what I mean? Like if you didn't really have that, like
that's fair.
Those stupid questions weren't stupid because the information's not out there yet,
Well, yeah, to me, I was just like, I'm at the house of a master. Here's someone who's just an absolute master. And I part of it was, I think I assumed he just like, a masterful musician knows everything, and I don't think that's the case. I think it took me a while at Berklee when I started teaching there. My teacher, Mac Laser, said, "You shouldn't expect every teacher to know everything. Your teacher doesn't have to know everything," and that was an important thing for me as a teacher to just be like, "Yeah, cool. There's borders of what I know, and I should acknowledge that, and I shouldn't act like they aren't there."
Yeah, I think it's kind of akin to realizing that your parents are just people. Do you know what I mean? Like
Totally.
When you're a kid, you think that your parents know everything. And as you get older, you realize, no, these are just people and they're trying to do the best they can, just like me. And just because somebody's a teacher doesn't mean that they have completely attained. I talk about stupid questions. We had Billy Strings on during COVID. And
nice.
I asked Billy, I'm like, so do you feel like you need to practice? Which is just the dumbest question I could have possibly asked him. But his answer was like, of course, man. And I think that as individuals, whether you're playing music or doing whatever you do creatively, we reach these plateaus, and teachers are there to help us push past those plateaus. Would you agree?
Sure. Yeah, sure. So, I would say that I would also say that I don't think that that's a necessarily stupid question. Like I remember one time I was having lunch with Alex, the fiddle player in Billy's band, and I asked him, sometimes the subject comes up to amongst musicians, what are you guys practicing? What are you practicing? And I asked Alex, what have you been practicing? He said, well, I haven't really practiced in a year. And to me, Alex is one of the greatest fiddle players ever. Right. Just a mind-boggling force, but it really blew my mind. He was just like, well, I haven't really practiced in a year. Wow. So I don't think it's a stupid question. I think there's different ways to interpret practice too. Like if I'm playing a lot and I'm doing a lot of gigs, I'm feeling in shape and I feel healthy as a musician. And I would make a distinction between that and in the practice room, it's a different mindset and a different thing I'm focusing on.
So what would be the distinction between the two, like in the practice room?
I think the practice room for me is about focusing on things that I wish were part of my playing and giving myself grace and a greater amount of patience to try and incorporate them. So the things that I don't do well, whether it's like a concept or technical, I'm going to take the time and also allow myself to sound bad, because I think that's a critical part of the learning process. And it's not the thing that I want to do necessarily in public.
Okay, that makes great sense.
It totally makes sense. I don't think any player wants to sit down and do, picking drills for 2.5 hours. Right. But that stuff is necessary to inform your playing for muscle memory and whatever else.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're touching on a thing that's like, I don't want to think if I'm on stage. I don't want to be thinking. And what I'm doing in the practice room is all the stuff that will allow me not to have to think when I get there.
Wow.
So
how do you get people to, if you have somebody that's just coming in first year or something like that, how do you convey that to them to give them some like ease to like, we're trying to not think on stage. This is the time to get all that out. How do you convey that with the students?
It's different with everybody, and I think like the first thing is trying to establish a sense of faith. I think like whenever I have a student who graduates, I always feel like I have to thank them for having had faith in me, and as like in valuing our time. It's a leap of faith to spend that much time with somebody. And how do I get them to convey? I guess they have to value what I'm doing, and hopefully the fact that they're in that room is a sign that they did.
Yeah.
But it's not always the case.
Sure.
So.
And it's music is such a personal thing too. You know, I mean, when you say that you're practicing to not have to think on stage, that whole not having to think thing is so that you can play the piece, whatever you're playing, as yourself. And that's the part that is really ephemeral or amorphous, that like, I think you hit on it though, is the having grace with ourselves in the learning process. I think that's really difficult. Now I'm going to shit on the internet because you see nobody's putting up clips of themselves blowing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they're putting up the best of the best. So your perception of how things should be is completely skewed. And so we don't have that grace with ourselves, I don't think, a lot of the time.
I think you're right. So yeah, absolutely.
It's tough. And so with coming up as a musician, and you hear Dog, bluegrass music, you've decided like, okay, this is the thing. What made you gravitate towards the mandolin? I'm so curious.
I don't, there's something about it that clicked, and I can't put my finger on it. It's just like somebody played me that some of those Grisman records, and I was just like, I have to buy a mandolin, and without even, maybe it wasn't even beyond that decision. I was just like, here it was, and that's what I was doing with all my time.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I feel like sometimes we try and find a more of a logic to life. Like I was in a cab one time with somebody in Chicago, and I asked the cab driver where he's from, and it was, I don't know, maybe it was Congo, and I said, how did you end up living in Chicago? And he said, how does anybody end up anywhere?
Yes,
which I love.
fair.
Like it's like supposed to be a straight line. That's a strange presumption,
Totally. Yeah. Go ahead, Apple.
Well, I'm just curious when you brought up the mandolin, because Aaron pointed out to me, we were curious about you play a very large mandolin also.
Sure. Yeah.
What is that?
Well, yeah. So the mandolin family includes, of course, the mandolin, but then there's just as in parallel with the violin family, there's the violin and viola and cello, of course, and there's the equivalent of that for the mandolin world.
Ooh.
So there's a mandola, which to me is really a rich, underexplored sound. You might think of like there's some Grisman recordings with the mandola, but really it hasn't been. It's so unexplored, I think, in a big sense. And then as you go beyond that, there's an octave mandolin, which is great, and you'll see like Sarah Jarosz playing it, or like Tim O'Brien. And then past that, there's the mandocello, which is barely touched at all, but really a beautiful sound.
What?
All right.
Do you play the mandocello at all?
Yeah, I play all of those things.
See, if you go to his Instagram, I was watching today, there's all the different ones. I saw him playing the octave mandolin and was like, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
So what made you gravitate toward teaching?
I think it's a nice. I feel like I've learned a lot of stuff, and I like sharing it with people. I get a lot of requests, and it feels like something I can do. That's it's not a community service, I guess. It's not like selfless, but I do like sharing, and I feel like I owe such a debt to people like Peter Ostrushko or all these people who were so kind to me. Like what I used to do traveling around. When I was first starting, I would find my hero in the phone book and call them up and invite myself over. And every single one of them was gracious. And I feel like if I'm in a position that's at all similar, I absolutely owe it to be as gracious as that.
So that's one of the things I love. We've talked about before. I love bluegrass so much because that seems like a common thread throughout bluegrass in the history. is
Yeah.
the support and the passing on and the appreciating each other.
Totally.
And like like all these albums you have, you're playing with so many different players all the time. You know, it's just amazing, the appreciation and the respect that goes with bluegrass.
Well, also, let's go back, because you can't just brush past that. You pick up the phone book and start calling your heroes. Like that, okay. I can't think of another genre of music that somebody could first find their heroes in the phone book. Second,
Right.
that they would even pick up the phone. And it comes from, I think it's because of the tradition of the thing. It's what it seems like to me. Like, it's played on the porch, and maybe you picked with friends, and then it's shared. You know what I mean? It's sharing in nature. So
yeah, absolutely. And I think, like, you know, if you find somebody who is dedicated to the degree that you were in your life, you could recognize some kindred, you know, values, and you're meet another crazy person, really. It's kind of how I sometimes feel that way.
So tell me a little bit about Trust and Love, Joe.
Oh, well, I wanted to make a record that was, I love bluegrass, and I have a lot of fun playing it, and it's definitely a big part of my life. But I also love quiet music that's about listening to each other and not about fireworks, and about trying to have a conversation musically. And to me, the thing that I like most about the people I get to play with is the way they're all value responsiveness. And we don't, like, I like the idea of entering a musical situation without preconceived notions about how everything's supposed to go, which is a beautiful thing if everybody's on board for it. And so that's kind of the nature of this record. Is I hired a bunch of people who, like John Mylander and the rest of them, who I know are going to make beautiful decisions, and I'm delighted to see what they are. And I know that if I don't arrive with a fully conceived notion of what should happen, it's going to be a better record that way.
Wow.
And all the players are beautiful. They're all great improvisers. Rich Hinman, to me, was a new person to collaborate with, but I just had such a sense that he was, had such a sense of humanity coming through his music, and I just felt like it was going to work, and it really did, I think.
You know, it takes a lot of guts to go into a room with other musicians with no preconceptions, because I think that we're taught as a culture that the end result should always be exactly what you want it to be, or perfect. You know what I'm saying? Right. And so to walk in the room with the starting place of no expectation, let's see what's can happen, that takes guts, first of all. And
well, it takes guts to play music, I think, too. It really does, because you're like giving your life to this craft. And it's the practice, it's the performances, it's the like behind the scenes, the editing. So like, I think just by nature of your occupation, that courage has to be one of the first things. And you may or may not think it is, but it really is, because you're pouring yourself out in front of people, which is a vulnerable thing to do. And mostly people don't like to be vulnerable in big situations. You know, true. Maybe like with a lover or a best friend, a parent, but like in a big room with strangers and lights pointed at you, like that is a really vulnerable and courageous place to be.
Do you know that you probably know Andrew Marlin, beautiful mandolin player of Watch House, and then he was the lead singer in Mighty Poplar. Beautiful, beautiful soul. You should check him out. But we were doing a workshop together again with like couple hundred strangers, and somebody kind of made a joke, and he said, "Hold on, the people that you listen to, they're good because they're all sensitive. That's what makes them good." I thought that was a really beautiful way to phrase it.
Yeah,
that is a great way to phrase it. There's no way to play those kinds of pieces without being really in touch with your emotional self.
Yeah, totally.
Well, that's what gives the music life, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think that's like, if you're willing to go there, that's what makes it work.
Yeah, and so you get in a room with these people that you've brought together, and okay, we're going to do this thing. Let's just see what happens. I'm always fascinated with, how do you know when to stop? When
You
did
mean
you
like
get
on a track or
yeah,
on a
like,
record?
yeah, we're gonna do this song, but I'm not sure how it's supposed to be. Like, let's just do it and feel it.
A loose framework.
Yeah, like, okay, well, how do
Yeah.
you know?
Well, I guess if you feel like something happened,
Mm.
there's plenty of times when it's clear it didn't happen. I mean, that's part of it. Like, that's like the part of the untold story about this. But like, I think I brought in 3 or 4, maybe 5 things that I was like, this should probably work, and it was really clear. Like after the first 1 or 2 times trying to record it, you're like, yeah, this isn't working. And maybe it's not a good tune, or maybe it's just we're not in the right emotional place for this tune today, and we'll shelve it and come back in a year or 2.
That's, I mean, that too is like, that's an emotional or a musical
That's
maturity.
maturity, yeah.
To be able to say that, because I know cats that will just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And
Yeah.
But if you're open to whatever happens, the whatever happening was, it didn't work.
Okay. And so
Yeah, totally.
this may be a dumb question, but what's the it that happens?
I guess it's about something that surpasses any one individual, and it's about some connection that led to something that happened. And to me, I'm a big fan of Bill Frisell. He's one of my heroes, and one of his things that he was teaching is like, if something good happens on a given night, it's not a good idea to try and do that exact same thing the next night, because it's a different night and you were in a different feeling and in a different room, and I think it's something like that something that happened that you probably won't be able to recreate. And it's not about fireworks, it's just about a connection, and some way it gently makes you feel something, I think.
Yeah. And sometimes not gently. Sometimes it's
totally.
not gentle. And
totally.
To me, that is the nearest like approximation of a spiritual experience that I've ever had, is playing with somebody and you can feel that thing kind of descend where you've locked up, and you can't pay too much attention to it or it'll go away, and it's
Right.
It's very nervous, and it'll ditch you if you look at it for too long.
Absolutely.
And also as a spectator of music, somebody that goes to shows, you can feel when that thing comes on, and that's why we love the music so much. Is you're waiting for that moment with the band,
Totally.
for that thing to descend. And I've just always been fascinated with, what the hell is it? Like, I know we can call it the muse or, group mind or whatever, but I think that is like the basic foundation of humanity. That's what we are, is that creative force. And when we get together and link up, this thing comes through.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. It took me for a while to be comfortable with the idea that like trying and not necessarily landing something in public was actually okay, and that's, people understand it and people are on board for that. And I had this band with Daryl Langer and Grant Gordy, Mr. Sun, and from the beginning of that band, we'd have a great night, and I was like, oh fuck, we figured it out. That's how it's supposed to go. And then somebody would change it the next night, and I was like, wait, but I think people can tell if you're doing the same thing, and if you're kind of leaning back on a cliche or something that's, to me, like I really don't like cliches, and so starting to have a sense that the audience can value somebody taking a risk and are on board for that was really important for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think like a lot of other types of music that are, say, not a jam band or not bluegrass, maybe like pop where Elton John, there's not many chances being taken in the same way. Maybe he is taking chances, but like you're going to see the same type of show and you're going to have these songs. And so kind of to the point earlier, like I'm sure he wants to repeat what happens, you know what I mean? So that people can get quote unquote their money's worth or see the show that we, made this spectacle about. But then what you're doing is jam bands are doing a completely different thing where they're kind of jumping out on the ledge with, no skis, no nothing, and just seeing where you land. And I think a lot of times, even if it doesn't land, the average listener doesn't even know that.
That can be true. Yeah, that could be true.
I mean,
think the key.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, like when because a lot of times when it might be a note or a lyric or something, and most people are just happy to be there.
Totally.
It's exciting.
Yep. I think if you're comfortable with yourself on stage, and if you're really at ease with what you're doing, you're putting the audience at ease, and it makes a lot of things possible. I think, like I've been playing some with Sam Grisman, and I think he's just so comfortable on stage and comfortable with his decisions, and it makes the looseness really work in a way that's. I love loose stuff, and to me that's a beautiful thing. But if you're loose and you're uncomfortable with it, then it's harder to feel like this is worthy of an audience. But he's so comfortable with what he's doing in it, puts everybody at ease.
Yeah, loose and uncomfortable, I think, is messy. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. But loose and comfortable is a different thing, man.
Loose and uncomfortable.
Now we're doing something.
I want to put my loose and uncomfortable clothes on. You're going to look like a slob. I want to ask something. I always find this interesting, like with the new album. First of all, I got to say I love the new album. And with us having to reschedule several times, we've all had a chance to listen to it a lot. And
cool.
I hope you have not heard this one, but the album, like I've had some skin issues, and I was taking oatmeal baths, and you have the song "Oatmeal" on there, which nice. I love. My favorite. It's hard to pick a favorite sometimes. I love "Full Moon" is one of my favorite tracks on there.
Nice.
When you do an instrumental album, how do you come up with the names for the tracks?
A lot of us have, like Daryl Anger has a list on his phone of untuned titles.
Okay,
that's cool.
which obviously you don't want to force things on it, but like, I don't know. There was there was a tune on there that was kind of vaguely, to me, it felt like of a spirit with the Wichita linemen, and it's not redundant, but I felt like it had a Western thing, and I was thinking about my friends that I love in Driggs. There's a nice community in Driggs, Idaho, with some great musicians, and that was just a little nod to them. Okay. I don't know. To me, like, you have to get comfortable with your own. Sometimes I'll make a joke, and it doesn't. I just have to be comfortable with whatever it is that I'm doing, and it doesn't not presume an an experience on the other side.
Okay, well, I imagine it's like when you're doing new instrumentals, like the name usually comes up later. You don't go in like right. I have this track Oatmeal, and this is what you guys play Oatmeal. You come out, it just like sparks later. That's
what I mean. Like if you're trying to write, I think sometimes something like that as a prompt could lead to something. Okay. It doesn't always, right? But like if you come in today and you're like, here's this, I don't know, 3 words from a poem, and what does that make you feel? There's a nice poem that I sometimes bring into one of my tune writing classes, which is, it starts out, "This is the place." And I think, like, I have never written a tune from that, but I do think there's potential there. Like if I think about "This is the place," what does that make me feel like? How do I write a song that makes me feel like that? There's I think it can be a leaping off place.
When you're writing, Joe, do you have like a process when you're like, okay, I'm going to write today? Is there a thing that you do to help yourself like make it happen?
You really try and turn off the harsh critic, and you really try and set that aside and believe that the thing you're nurturing and giving time to could potentially have value. And So just trying to like allow enough time before I ask, is this garbage, to at least let it be somewhat realized. And I definitely believe in like the number game. Like I write every day, and I would reject, like discard 90%, 95% of what I write. But I don't want to do it in the moment.
Yeah, nothing will ever get born. If it was in the moment, you'll have 1,000 false starts a day, and nothing will ever. So you have to give yourself the grace, like you said earlier, to let something happen for a while to see if it's even worth doing. Yeah.
So what does that look like in practice to you, as far as like giving yourself that grace or the time, or not like that critic, like tuning them down or out? Like, what does that look like to you? Do you have like methods or ways that you can reach that?
I mean, honestly, it's always hard.
Yeah.
Like
that's what I expected. But like sometimes people are like, it's your career path. So maybe there's some cool techniques or something that gets you to a place where you're, maybe not there as much or in that deep water,
I definitely have had that experience where I record things on my phone. I'm recording things, and then the thing that I perceived as really good, I come back and you're like, no, that really wasn't. But the opposite also happens, where I'm like just checking in and recording and seeing how bad things are today. And you go back and you're like, actually, there's something there. There's maybe I overlooked. I didn't notice that I was doing all right.
Do you enjoy the writing process? Because I know some people do and some people don't.
Yeah. Sometimes, yeah.
You laugh. Sometimes.
I mean, it's like a lot of things in music where it's another opportunity to be difficult on yourself or really hard on yourself. And I think there's a lot of value in that. Like that's how, if I just came out of the gate and I was like, cool, you sound great, I wouldn't have practiced and I wouldn't have challenged myself to learn more. So I do think that's healthy, but it's also like, you got to find the right balance.
Yeah. Keep yourself in check, so to speak.
Wow.
Totally.
I think that I know for me personally, that critic is the hardest thing to get past.
Yeah.
I have no objectivity when it comes to my playing.
Yeah.
Zero. Like,
can you give yourself sometimes it's nice to like give yourself a month, revisit something a month later with fresh ears, because it's really hard to have fresh ears, even if you go away for an hour or two or a couple of days. Like sometimes I write a lot of things in my notebook, and then I'll come back like a month or two later and be like, oh, okay. And again, it's not always positive. A lot of times, like I can't even see what I thought was here.
Okay. Yeah.
But the fresh ears help.
I've asked several other musicians this, and I'm curious to see what your answer is because you're an educator too. Do you think that if somebody comes in and has chops and no ear, or ear and no chops, which do you think is more usable?
Well, I guess you could learn either one. Certainly you can work on your ear, and that was one of the most, when I was at Berklee as a student, that was the most valuable thing to me. Having a structured way to approach ear training, and getting, demonstrably better. And obviously chops are like, they're really, it's kind of a democratic process. It's sort of, I always think of like with some of my students, I say like, this is a tall ask, but it's a little bit like asking you to walk from here to Mexico. Big project, but you can make tangible progress every day on this, and it's a doable thing. It's nothing magical about it. It's just something with that scope. Mm-hmm. I think the question that I struggle with is, can you help somebody learn taste? And and that one is sort of more of a harder one to answer.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's really well said, man. That I never thought about it like that, because you could have great chops, big ears, and no taste, and your shit's gonna sound awful.
That's right. Yeah, that's totally right. And that's why, like, again, that Andrew Marlin fellow that said that's a sensitive thing. I was like, man, that is totally right, because he's sensitive to the way a melody is going to make you feel, whether he adds this note or this little gentle turn, and then he's really in tune to that. And you know, for better or for worse, I'm sure some days he curses the fact that he's so sensitive, but it is the thing that gives us this music that we love.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard a quote from Garcia actually that said that when he's playing, he's looking for the spaces between the notes.
Yeah, nice. I like that.
And I didn't ever understand that, because I think to most people, a musician is a player, right? Like, it's active thing that you're playing the music, but having the sensibility to stop.
Yeah, right.
Do you know what I'm saying? And give space for feeling to come through is difficult. That's a hard place to reach playing.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right.
But like,
can I read you something that I really like that illustrates this?
Sure.
Here's this little thing that says, this sentence has 5 words. Here are 5 more words. 5-word sentences are fine, but several together become monotonous. Listen to what is happening. The writing is getting boring. The sound of it drones. It's like a stuck record. The ear demands variety. Now listen. I vary the sentence length, and I create music. Music. The writing sings. And it goes on and on, but to me, I was like, when I encountered that kind of blew my mind, and it was such a beautiful illustration about the value of space and phrasing and what's possible with that.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's so multifaceted, because, you know, you say, I'm a musician, and people will automatically, like Aaron just said, think it's you're playing, but there's the scope is so grand of what you're responsible for as a musician. Like, there's so much memorization, there's so much creativity, so much learning, and even more practice. And that, like, we haven't really gotten talking about performance or style or, you know, like collaboration. And it kind of like blows my mind, especially the more technical a musician is, just how disciplined and how much that decision to like be a musician is so strong. Like, that is a really strong decision, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
When you made that decision long ago, was that it? Or did you kind of have like, okay, well, I'll go full forward on this, but did you ever have anything in the back of your head? Like, if it doesn't work out, or
oh yeah.
Were you that kind of a mindset, or were you like, I'm just going forward?
I basically gave myself until my early 30s to see if it was what was happening.
Yeah.
And I felt like, okay, we'll reassess in my early 30s. And I was in, at that point I started playing with Daryl, who was my hero. And I was, I bought a condo and I was paying my rent, and I felt like, okay, cool, we'll just keep going. But yeah, I mean, it's just like a willingness to try it was important.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to me that, like, I think probably a safe percentage would be 95% of the musicians that we've spoken to say, I couldn't see myself doing anything else, or this is what there was never anything else. That was just this all the time. And I think it speaks to what you were talking about earlier about sensitivity. There's a certain kind of a person that has to have this outlet for this thing to come through. Yeah. And it's, I don't know.
Do you have any other avenues that you express yourself aside from musically?
I think there's a strong parallel with cooking and improvising musicians, at least in the people I hang with. Like when I go on the road with Mr. Sun and Daryl and Grant and Aiden, they're all improvising is their life, and all of us we'll talk about on the road is what we've been cooking. And I do feel like it's a similar thing where you can just do something for people and create an experience and make your own decisions within that framework.
Yeah, like there's a recipe, and I'm not necessarily going to follow it. But
That's so right, and that's actually when I was thinking about your question about that record. Part of the thing that I've chafed against is that in the bluegrass world, there's this beautiful thing, which is there's a recipe. Like, here's the song, here are the chords. You do the thing that you do on every song on these chords, and then this is going to happen, and this is going to happen, and that recipe is so amazing because it allows me to go to Japan and play a gig with people I can't even speak with.
Right.
Because we understand the recipe. But the recipe is also kind of crazy. Because like we're just doing the same thing again, and we're not. There can be you don't have to make decisions, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
Sometimes you don't have to make decisions and take ownership.
So what have you been cooking?
I made chilaquiles this morning, which was really nice.
Hey, that's a fan favorite.
Yeah,
for
man.
Sure.
Nice.
I agree. Like, playing music is one of the things I love most. It's very personal for me. And I bake.
Oh yeah,
I do bread and stuff, and they're the same thing in my head in a weird kind of a way. I 1000% know what you're talking about, because first of all, it's just me, right? Like, at the end of the day, it's just me doing the thing. Somebody can show me how to play Shady Grove.
yeah.
But my Shady Grove is going to be different than anybody else's Shady Grove. My loaf of sourdough going to be different than anybody else's loaf of sourdough, because I made it. It's mine. I did it different. And I think that's kind of the beautiful thing. And also the most exciting part about hearing albums like you've created, because you've put these amazing chefs together, right? And you see what can come out in that kitchen that you have. And we've served up these plates for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of mind blowing, man. Like, how has the response been for this album in your opinion?
Seems to be positive. I mean, it's not like a fireworks record, and so I didn't really expect it to go take the world, a hold by the lapels and shake it. But yeah, no, it's been very positive. I think to me it was like really important to make this record, because for me, that's the only thing that makes it important. Is I just felt like I wanted there to be a quiet, beautiful mandolin record, and I always complain about how there isn't one. And if I have an opportunity to try and make an offering for that, I can at least try and do that. And the response is whatever happens is cool, but I just had to try it for my own peace of mind.
That's dope.
Yeah,
that's dope.
I see you have a number of shows coming up. Is that in support of this album, or is that with other projects, or what?
Yeah, it's. I think this music is going to appear with different bands. To me, like, it was. I don't think I'll really put together. I have a couple shows with that exact lineup, but they're all working with like various touring huge bands, and it's hard to steal John Mylander away from Bruce Hornsby.
Right.
yeah.
But I think that like it's just I love the idea that tunes can be they'll have that iteration with those people, and then when I go play with somebody else, it'll take a different shape. But I don't have the presumption that we're trying to do the perfect rendition of a tune. I think it's been really important to set that mindset aside and just say, here's the thing we're doing today, and hopefully we'll do something beautiful with it. And I don't know, it's just like a snapshot of that day with those people.
Which I like that goes back to like you were talking about with the cooking thing, the parallel. Like you're bringing, it's like I have a recipe, but we're bringing in some guest chefs today to see what
and they got stuff from their garden.
Yeah,
throw it in there. And see what
this guy
happens,
likes to throw paprika on everything. Isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, totally.
Joe, you seem like a super cool, grounded human being, man. Like, we talk to a lot of musicians, and just even your tone of voice,
comfortable.
You're a teacher, and it shows in more ways than one. But just the album and your vibe match so much.
It makes me feel comfortable.
Yeah,
and you
it's-
seem
Oh, I'm glad to
comfortable, and
hear
it
that.
makes me feel comfortable.
Yeah, I'm just grateful for you putting that out for yourself. Like it's one of those things like Rick Rubin talks about, do things for yourself, and who cares if anybody else is gonna matter, but it always does, because if you love something, chances are someone else is gonna love something as well.
I think that's totally right. It just took me a long time to really believe in that and have faith in that.
But
you're
it
totally
feels
right.
like you live that. It doesn't feel like it's taken I mean, well, we just met you, so
Yeah, man.
clearly we don't know anything else, but like, you wear it well, I will say.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. There's a local bluegrass outfit here called Never Come Down.
Sure, yeah, I know those folks.
Yeah. And we interviewed Caden, the Mando player at Northwest String Summit. And he came to bluegrass through classical mandolin. And
Cool.
I never knew that was even a thing, classical mandolin.
Yeah, right.
Is that like something that people are studying now, like at Berklee and stuff?
Not so much at Berklee, but there are. You probably know Mike Marshall. He's a fantastic mandolin player. He was in a DGQ and very creative force, and then he moved to Germany when he married the most esteemed classical mandolin professor in the world, Katharina Lichtenberg, and she has a whole studio of classical mandolin players in Germany, and there's a whole world of like mandolin ensembles that are in Germany. So it's valued in a way that it's hard to find in the States, but it is definitely there.
Yeah, it's like I said in the beginning, like even learning fiddle tunes for me, like Blackberry Blossom or Salt Creek or whatever. When I'm playing that stuff alone on my guitar, like trying to remember, that sounds like classical music to me.
Yeah.
Like the way it's played, how it sounds, the parallels are there. I could see it. And
Sure.
it's really fascinating to me how like bluegrass, more than any other kind of type or genre of music, kind of came from the old world to the United States and is an amalgamation of like who this country is and the people that made it in a really weird, visceral kind of a way. It's really neat.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, definitely a snapshot of a certain American thing.
Yeah. Like Apple said, you got shows coming up. Where can people go to find out where you're playing and what's going on?
So I got a website, joekwalsh.com. I played a joke on myself, and you can also get there by typing in theotheroneandomly.com.
Love it. Yeah.
So, and I'm playing some this summer with Mr. Sun. Will be out at Rocky Grass, and some this summer with Sam Grisman and various places.
Right on, man.
All right, Joe, last thing. What's something that we didn't touch on that we need to know about you, that you want people to know?
Wow. I don't know. I would just encourage people to try and to be open to making mistakes and not needing to be perfect. To me, that's really important. That makes so many things possible.
Well said, man.
Right on.
I'm glad we finally did this, Joe. Thank you, man. Thanks for spending
Thanks for
time.
being
Thank you.
patient
Thank you
with us. Yeah.
Likewise.
And I'll be in touch and let you know when this drops.
All right. Beautiful.
All right,
Nice to
brother.
have the time
And
with you.
Enjoy your Sunday,
Thank
my
you
friend.
for making us feel comfortable.
I'll talk to you soon, man.
Likewise.
Hey.
All right. Take care.
That's a deep thinking cat right there.
Be open to making mistakes. Miss Frizzle. Do you guys remember Miss Frizzle?
The Magic School Bus.
Yep.
Okay, I was gonna say that sounds very familiar. I like it you brought that because he very calm. I imagine he's a great teacher.
He's probably an
Like, to
amazing.
be
I don't know
in
if he's a
his
dad,
class and I was
I
gonna
think I heard a
ask.
baby
I heard a
I was
baby.
gonna say, is that your kids in the background
Yeah.
or the neighbor? Because then you did hear it sound like a racetrack or something
Yeah.
in the background. And
You know, it's a trip, having done No Simple Road for as long as we have, that like we've done enough interviews to where you can see the kind of person. Do you
Yeah.
get what I mean by that, you guys?
yeah,
He reminds me
like
of
visually when we see them, you can kind of tell what's going on.
Yeah. And it's like, to me, that's a deep well of a human being. There's a lot going on right there.
Yeah, that kind of reminded me of like when you go on when we've had Pando on, you immediately see like if there was like an animation, there would be all of these thoughts and things swirling all around the room, but not like a mess, but like all these. Oh, like okay, we're gonna take this one. We're gonna touch on
but
this
not
one.
structured.
It's just amazing to me. The more we interview musicians, and I mean, I said it to him, but like there's so much that a musician is responsible for knowing and also doing. And when we go see musicians, we just kind of take it for granted that they've got all this stuff inside them to give. Do you know what I mean? Like they know their songs, they know how to play it, they have their outfit picked up, they know when they're going to be on, they're inspired. Like there's so much that it's not like they just have to have energy. It's not like they just need to know a song.
One of the things that like playing music that really trips me out is like, okay, you've learned to play the guitar, right? So you've learned the chords and the notes. You've memorized every note on the fretboard. You know your scales, you know, blah, 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 theory. Well, the guys now have to know electronics too. On top of that, you see the footboard pedal in front of these players.
Everybody's a social media sensation
like,
too. On top of that,
understand like signal path and frequencies, and it just doesn't stop.
So much more to it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I like what he said too, talking about but we've learned that too. Artists are sensitive.
Yeah,
and like a lot of people, you see them on stage, and it's like, oh, like good, to me, a good example is Frasco. We've gotten to know Frasco. Well, you see Frasco on stage, and a lot of times you think that persona is exactly what you're going to get off stage and everything. And a lot of time, it's the art.
To be fair, Frasco couldn't be Frascoing 24/7.
No. And then that's an example. We've seen that with a lot of musicians. They're sensitive and.
Just the fact that we put them in a category is funny because everybody's such an individual. The only thing they have in common is that they play music for a living. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're all completely different human beings that were raised different, that like have better or worse preferences, this, that. The only thing is that that's what they chose to do.
And check this out. He touched on it a little bit, and it really kind of blows my mind. If you travel to Japan or Mexico or South America or wherever, if you don't speak the language, you're not communicating with the people there, right? Like,
maybe through gesture,
whatever. Music and mathematics are the really only universal languages. If I know how to play music, I can go play music with anybody anywhere in the world right away. I can play a G chord on my guitar, and they know what that is without us saying anything. It's
pretty awesome.
That's magic.
Yeah.
Well,
to have the musical conversation. And we've heard that quite a few times from people that have gone over to Europe and played with musicians and like had the greatest time ever, and we never spoke a word.
It's wild, man.
It was all
thanks to teachers like Joe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they're keeping it going and making sure that the music never stops. Get it, everybody? It was a joke. Anyway,
it's no simple road.
Well, should we go make spaghetti and meatballs?
Yeah.
All right, everybody. We will be back.
Spaghetti and meatballs?
Yeah. We'll be back next week with more stuff and things. Until then, take care of each other. Smile at a stranger. Safety third. Hydrate. And you know what? Just for one day this week, try and give yourself some grace. And don't expect perfection. See what happens.
Yeah, try something new and don't expect to be perfect at it.
Love y'all. Peace.
It's all got to be perfect.
Perfect. I want it perfect now.
We're doing it live.
Like twisting, turns, amazement, turning
mechanism as well as a fear. We've traveled this road before, so we may think, but it's a tad bit of strange similarities that feed an A equal A complex. The fears of your past do not equal the perplexities of the current road.
This is Lawrence Lanahan, journalist, musician, and host of Rearranged, an Osiris Media podcast about music arranging. Once a song is written, arrangers make musical decisions that shape how we end up hearing the song. And we're not just talking about adding orchestral accompaniment, like horns and strings, or doing a cover version of a song. Arrangement can be putting happy music over dark lyrics, using samples, recording all acoustic, even tiny decisions like putting an electronic loop into an acoustic song to draw your attention to an important turn of phrase. It's all arranging. Rearranged episodes are documentary essays where I use arrangements to answer some big questions like what is a song? And what can a song become? And how can the sound of a song change the meaning you take from it? Listening this way has changed my relationship with music. Tune into Rearranged, and maybe it'll happen for you too. Learn more at rearrangedpodcast.com.
Osiris.